Today we do have a special guest here. We have a fantastic loan officer slash lender from Movement Mortgage. His name is Arash Gezersay, fantastic lender. Arash, go ahead and say hello to the audience.
Hello to the audience.
He's going to answer a few questions for us that is, we should know about real estate, especially if you're coming into the real estate world for the very first time. We want to find out what's going on in the financial world. How do we deal with lenders? How do we deal with buyers? And we're hoping that this guy here has these answers for us. All right, Arash, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, see if you can shed some light on some of this stuff. Okay. In all these years I've been doing this, 20-something years now. I've always, in my opinion, it's the most important part when it comes to real estate, as far as dealing with the buyer, is communicating with the buyer and the lender. How important do you think the communication is between a buyer, a lender, and the realtor? That triangle, buyer, lender, and realtor. How important is it when it comes to that triangle and communication?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Thanks for tuning in. I think it's really important. In a live escrow situation, when you have a buyer, obviously this is usually it's going to be their first rodeo. It's not something they do all the time, and there's so many moving parts. It's such a multifaceted situation that I think, from a lender's point of view, if I'm not at least touching base with my realtor once or twice a week, then I'm probably not doing my job.
See, that's awesome, and that's what I try to emphasize to all the new realtors. The importance of not just talking to your buyers, but talking to your lenders. That's the biggest thing. Let me ask you a follow-up question to that. If it's hard to get to your clients, this being the buyer, say it's hard to pull documents from them, and they're not responding to your phone calls. What do you deal with? How do you deal with that?
Well, it's interesting. I've been doing this for a few days.
How long have you been doing this?
I started in December of '96. So
That's a long time.
yeah, it's been about 20 years now, which is absolutely crazy.
Wow.
But things have changed obviously a lot, not only with the market, but with people and just with the general demographic. These days, I think this year it's forecasted that about 50% of new home buyers are going to be millennials. And one of the things that has changed dramatically over the last couple of years is a lot of people, they want to be communicated to via text message, via email. There's just a certain number of people that do not pick up their phones and don't want to talk on the phone, even if they're available. They want to do it via text, want to do it via email. So one of the important things for me, and as I'm sure it is for a new agent to do, is figure out what kind of client they have, what their preference is going to be, so you can communicate to them the way that's most effective.
Tell me something else. Interest rates today, what do they look like?
Well, this is one of my favorite questions to get asked. So agents ask me all the time, "Hey, what's today's rate? What's the rate today?" And it's a really tough question to answer, because there is no magic rate. One of the big problems with websites like Bankrate or Google, when somebody goes on there and it's got one big flashing rate, a lot of these websites are powered by advertisers, so they're basically trying to put the best possible rate out there and draw people in, get those clicks. Mortgage rates, it's a little more nuanced than that. So on average, I would say rates these days for just a standard 30-year fix for somebody buying a home, it's not a jumbo loan, it's going to be something with a 4 in front of it,
Okay.
which has changed over the last 6 months or so.
Used to be in the threes.
Used to be in the 3s. Now I feel like we're pretty much in the low 4s. But rates are really dependent on the specific scenario and the specific situation with the loan. So the same person with the same credit and the same income buying a house is going to get a different rate than a condo. So when people ask me what is the rate, or when they ask you what is the rate as a realtor, I think you have to be very careful. And the best answer is, you can give them a range, but the best answer is you should talk to my lender, or you should talk to your lender and find out what the rate is for your specific situation.
Beautiful, and that's exactly what we teach here in our classes, is that delegate questions. If as a realtor you don't know the answer to the questions, and many times these questions are financial questions, lending questions, I wouldn't even try to answer those questions. I like to delegate those questions to my lender, to my loan officer, have him take care of that, or her take care of that, get it straight from the horse's mouth, I guess. Hey, I got a lot of new realtors who say they try to describe the loan process to the buyers, and they're not quite familiar with the loan process. Of course, you are 20 years in the business, but us new realtors aren't quite familiar with the process of a loan. What should they do when they're asked, "Hey, new realtor, what do I have to do to get a loan in this, in this place?"
Well, I mean that's a great question. Obviously, I think the first thing they need to do is to introduce them either to your preferred lender, or if the person's already working with the lender, reach out to that person and talk with them as a realtor. The easy answer is basically, you're going to complete an application, you're going to provide 2 years of income paperwork along with some bank statements, and your loan officer is going to review that and give us a pre-qualification. You can kind of give them that information just to set the expectation that they're going to have to put together 2 years of tax returns, and they're going to have to print their bank statements. But personally, I don't think you'd be served by going any further than that, just because it depends. Once I talk to a client, once I see the scenario, the process for them might be much simpler than it is for somebody who owns a business or has multiple investment properties. So it's one of these things again where it's best to, I think, summarize and then direct them towards the lender to get the whole picture.
Got it. Good answer. Hey, listen, you know what? I've used before a few times in all the years I've been doing this, a broker. How do you feel about brokers when it comes to lending?
Well, I think brokers are great. Full disclosure, I was a broker for about 8 years.
He told us. He admitted it.
From 2000 to 2008, and 2008, the magic number. After the financial meltdown, everything slowed down. We ended up having to wind that down and close that business. But brokers are actually, they have access to a lot of products that some direct lenders can't get, and they definitely serve a purpose. And I definitely think the market is better for having brokers, mortgage brokers, in it. However, one of the benefits I have as being a direct lender is I'm able to pick up the telephone and call my underwriter and talk something through.
Now that's important.
It's really important.
Yeah.
One of the biggest problems there is in lending is the communication between the loan officer and the decision maker, and that's the underwriter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar for a bank loan officer. If you have a loan officer at Bank of America, he doesn't have the ability to pick up the phone and call the underwriter, because that underwriter is underwriting, God knows how many dozen files that month. And the same thing with a broker. A broker has to go through a third-party representative, and then that message has to get parsed through an account manager before it gets to an underwriter. So I think, in my opinion, there's a big disadvantage there, and the biggest thing is time. One of the things that we're able to do at Movement Mortgage is really cut through the process and get things done, I think, much quicker than I was ever able to do as a broker, or after I closed down that business, I actually went to Wells Fargo for a few years. So I have a really good perspective of what it's like to work in a bank and work. I think working with a direct lender is really just a perfect balance of being able to still get your client kind of the best products that are available, but at the same time not have to be held up for 2 to 3 months dealing with.
No, I'm with you. Now, with all the buyers that my wife and I have closed approximately 325, 330 deals in our career. Of those 330 deals, I would say 70% were working with buyers. Of those buyers, I would say approximately 25% used a direct lender, and those were my favorites, just like you said. If you had a question or concern, you go straight to the underwriter. The one that's got to make the decision, enough said, they can help us out when it comes to that situation as far as making things clear as to what we need to close the deal. Hey, I appreciate your time. Okay, if you can do yourself and us a favor and subscribe to our page, leave any comments below in the comment box, and we can't wait to see you next week. Have a great week, and take care.